earlier short, there was a gentleman that came in, and I had to. I didn't know how much personal information he was going to reveal, so I didn't. I had to cut. I just cut the feed. So for those who were here, apologize. All right, but I promised someone I was going to respond to them in my morning live. I would have just called it a day, and to start again tomorrow, but I gave my word, so I wanna follow up. Okay. So let me see if I can. Let me see if you can see this. Can you see this? Probably can't see it too well. I don't know if you can zoom in on things, but the idea was we had a conversation about billionaires and money like that. It just happened that way, and the actual title changed because the live turned into something else because someone walked in, just like this gentleman walked in just now, and Ron came in, and we were just talking. So I'm here trying to do the thing, and we got caught up in the conversation and realized that, you know what, let it ride. And some people had some real interesting things to say about it. So, Wandering Soul Enterprises 5564. I don't know how to. I'll figure out a way to tag him so at least he or she get an idea that I did comment on this. Maybe I'll just. Maybe I can send him the link to the channel. Okay, so let me read what he said. All right. And so we were just talking about the billionaires and the money system and people preferring communism versus capitalism, blah, 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 right? So the person said, and I think it's kind of riding off of the fact that some people say billionaires shouldn't exist. And I think I got to the point where I was like, we probably have to get to a base point of understanding that if you're free to earn, who should someone interfere with your earnings? And then the guy said, well, billionaires get their money in ill-gotten gain. I was like, okay, well, that's a lot of assumption, but I'm not going to say that people don't do that, right? And there should be penalties for ill-gotten gain, or if we find out that someone scammed somebody, that's not a good thing. But we blanket so many things and so many people, and it's like we blanketed rich people, we blanket black people, we blanket white people, we blanket gay people, we blanket trans people, we blanket everything and say these people are bad because of this reason. It's like, come on, man. So anyway, so you say, I think part of the problem is the way our society has programmed us to think that one person's hard day of work is worth more than someone else's. Okay, so I'm gonna comment on that section there. I don't think that one person's hard day of work is worth more than someone else's. I don't think that's the case. I think we just bring different values to the market. Okay? Look at it like that. Like, we bring different value to the market. It's not that this person, because the person who is working, like, so they made a point. I bet he said, I bet there isn't a billionaire on the planet who works harder than your entrepreneurial self, and I accept that compliment. Thank you. Right? But again, even that sentence there. Okay, I'll give you an example. I was working two jobs, not two jobs, but I was working overnight, and I was trying to run a business. And I was just ridiculously tired. And while I was tired, I could not think to run my business. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't imagine things. I could not. I tried exercising and multivitamins type of things. The sleep was the biggest thing that I think I was losing out, and it was hard to focus. So I was physically working harder, but the kind of hard work that my business needed, I could not provide. Okay. And that's a different kind of hard work. And until you do it, you don't understand that the hard work part is in the details. It's not just getting up and hustling hard and sweating at the brow, which is important. If your skill set or your contribution to the market is breaking rocks, and I now, let's say I'm a richer individual, my contribution to the market is I made a product, and I'm employing people to manufacture that product so we could sell it to the market, right? I need those rocks to be broken up so I can drive smoothly to get to where I gotta go. So that guy's job is very valuable, right? Now, if he owned the rock company, maybe he would get more out of that work. So they asked this guy, what do you do? He says, I break rocks. Okay, great. And then afterwards somebody else paved the road. Okay, great, right? Let's say he asks the owner, what do you do? Well, my company breaks rocks and then we pave the road. Let's say they said the same thing. They are contributing different levels to that same job. It doesn't mean the guy's job is less important than his, but this guy's hard work is managing that company and keeping that company together. So this guy who's breaking the rocks can still have a reliable paycheck every day. And not just him, but the 50 other people that's on that job. Plus, you got to make sure he's paying his taxes because plus you got to make sure that he's getting the materials in to make sure. Plus, he's dealing with the HR. So let me hire an HR person so she can or he can deal with the HR issues. And I need to hire a person that's going to make sure our policies and our legal stuff is correct. And okay, well, let me hire that guy, and I have to manage him too. There's a lot more, man, that goes into becoming that higher person in a corporation or the person that runs a business than it is for the guy who is putting the intrinsic thing, or what do we call that, the cog in the wheel or whatever. That job is important because without him, a company can still fall, right? But I don't know if we're seeing it right by saying that guy doesn't work hard because he's rich. I'm not rich, but I have to. That understanding is important for me because if I do want to become bigger and better, and I want to be a greater individual in the financial part of my life, whatever, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person because now I have more. That's ridiculous. I'm still the same good guy that take care of his dad, his mom, and take care of his kids, and it just so happens I'm accomplishing more, right? Same person. Yeah, so no, I shouldn't, hurt someone to get what I have, right? I think we should all understand that as a baseline. But I think we have been conditioned for the they and us thing, but not the way I think you think it is, or who you think is doing it. It's weird, man. But I agree, and then at the same time, So, okay, yet those people are making $700 an hour for playing golf all day, while janitors and garbage collectors are sometimes looking down at in big society. All right, they only make $7.25 per hour. Let's say, right? Not enough to support one person, much less a family, and yet there they are. All right, works v their. Oh, okay. I guess it works. I get work off their butts all day, right? Every day, making sacrifices, putting themselves in contact with dangerous substances so that the rest of us can have a healthy environment to live in. Okay. All right, let's do this then. Let's go back to the base of this scenario. I think someone said what's up. Hold on. I think someone said what's up. I want to make sure I give big up to whoever's there. Let's go back to the base of this. Hey, look, I may not be right on this. I may be off base altogether, and we're free to be off base. That's our opinion, right? But let's go back to the base of this. What we're doing, and what's Adam? Blante Adam, where are you, bro? I'm in North Carolina. Sorry I didn't see it before. So just imagine this for a second then. Let's say the guy who is working with the hazardous material had to start a business that was an environmental cleaning business, and he had to get started, okay? And he started working with the environmental chemicals. Okay, he got another contract, spoke to two people. Two people gave him the contract. He got it going. Okay, now it's just him and another guy. Guy works for him. Okay, he got the contract. It's his idea, his business. He registered it with the government. He registered to pay his taxes, et cetera, et cetera. He's taking that. He has to take on the insurance. He buys the insurance, the whole deal. Okay, he's planning for his next move. He said, listen, I can't do all this stuff, exposing myself to the chemicals, right? And grow the business and get more customers. So let me hire two people. So now I have two guys, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna talk to the next people. I'm gonna get contracts. Now it grows, and it grows. And now he gets more contracts. Now he's doing stuff in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. Okay? As a result, his company, he makes more. Okay? These guys, there's a wage in the market. Okay? And the market has, you can lopside the market. Okay? You can literally, you have a responsibility at the same time to pay your people right. But also, you can lopside the market. And what I mean by that is when you, let's use immigration for a second. If you flood in a lot of people into the market that is willing to take $5 an hour, okay? You're gonna create a competitive nature in that market that is not natural to the market, okay? Because now you're gonna have companies who will, they just found Hyundai doing something funky, right? You will have companies who will hire these guys at $5 an hour instead of paying the local people the $10 that they need, or the $15 or the $20, whatever the job calls for. But if the job is roughly about $20 an hour, but you're now paying the people, instead of 20, you're paying all the people that start there, let's say 40, okay, you're free to do that. But just know that that job title, that normally pays 20 and now you're paying them 40, you're creating some kind of turmoil that you may not know how that's going to work out. Okay, it's not that these people don't deserve their 40. It's that there's some kind of an agreement that we don't put poison in our food, right? So we all don't do it, right? We drive on the road and we're all in agreement that we're supposed to stop at this light and go at that light. It's like we're making this agreement that we're all obeying these rules to make sure society runs smoother. And so the same thing works in, of course, people break the rules, right? But the same thing works in the job market. The same thing works in pricing of pizza, let's say, right? You know, you're charging $25 for your slice of pizza, dude. But then now you're saying that pizza is only 50 cents at your store? Dude, what are you doing? 50 cents for a slice of pizza. The average slice of pizza, let's say, is, I don't know, $2, $2.50, whatever. So these things are to be debated, which is good. It's just that it's not as black and white as the way a lot of us see it. That you're rich, that means you're not working. The other guy's job is more important than yours. If the rich guy who owns the company didn't do his part, the guy who you're saying job is not as important as the rich guy wouldn't have that job. Let's not play those games with that. That's a funky part that they do with us to get our votes and all that other stuff. No, his job is as important. I don't want guys stealing from a company. I don't want a company stealing from the employees. Let's agree on that world that we live in. I don't want the company, I don't want that guy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the laws should be in place where those guys will be punished for doing bad things to grow their company, you know? But, you know, it's tricky. Let's not devalue none of them, right? But we're taking one over the other. Okay, one last thing, and I have, this is I don't know if I'm gonna do this on the air, because I got this in and I'm supposed to try to figure this out. It should be pretty, it's easy. I think it should be just pretty easy. I should be able to just take care of this, no problem. And then the job of, does the motor work? But let me finish up his statement, and we're gonna go from there. Okay. All right, or her statement. I'm sorry, because I don't know if it's a boy or girl. Okay, so that the rest of us can have a healthy environment to live in. I believe in a free market economy, but I think we need regulations. You're right. Unions and in some cases, social support programs. I agree with you. Because any person who pulls their weight and puts in a decent day's work deserves a decent day's wage. Okay, and that's the part that's tricky when those are politician talking points right there. If you put in a decent day's work, you deserve a decent day's pay. I wanna give you a parable that I read actually years ago, and it's in the Bible, and it goes something like this. And somebody probably knows it better than me, right? There was a wine field owner or whatever, and he wanted to hire some people. It may not be wine, it may have been something else, but the parable is something like this. It's like something like this, okay? So he hired the guy in the morning, paid him, let's say, $1 a day to do the work, okay? And then the guy said yes, he accepted the $1 a day to do the work. Then midday, he hired another guy at $1 a day to do the work, okay? But he only had to work a few more because there was only a few more hours for the job to be done. And the guy that came in the morning was upset. He said, "How are you gonna pay that guy the same thing you paid me? I've been working here all day." So Jesus said, "Well, you agreed to the terms to work for $1 a day. Okay?" And it's like, in essence, I made another agreement with this guy. Why are you worrying about what I'm paying this guy? Didn't we make a deal? $1 a day? You accepted. You see what I'm saying? So when we do stuff like you deserve and all this other stuff, you have to be very careful with those words, because you signed on the deal to take the job at that price, and everything else is negotiated. That is the way we operate. Everything else after that is negotiated. But you said yes. And if you said yes to this job, let's imagine those employees you work with. They say yes to the job. Get the paycheck. Good. Now you're getting the check. And you're not delivering your part of the job because you're upset that the company hired somebody and is paying them whatever, which again, remember I said that you can disrupt the market if you start paying people. So that's, I get it, but you made a deal to deliver on what they pay you. Continue delivering. So now you're gonna put your foot up and you're gonna say, "Well, I'm not working anymore. I'm not gonna." And you guys do this, and I'm gonna go to my office and I'm gonna sit down. See, you accepted the contract, man. You accepted the deal that you're gonna work for $50 an hour or $30 an hour or $15 an hour, whatever it is for this job. And just because you're upset that the company did something with their money and hired somebody for a position after you never negotiated to get more, or you accepted less. You're upset at the company and you're not gonna work and fulfill your contract. The company finds out and they say, "You know what? You're fired." You say, "Oh, well then you're firing me because I'm black, huh?" You know, some nonsense like that. It's like, nah, dude. Well, then you guys hired somebody and I can't believe you're paying them more. So I always think back on that parable. Okay? It's just, so what do you do? Then you learn to negotiate. You learn to sell yourself. Guitar jams. Yo, what's up, bro? I'm sorry I didn't see you all this time, man. I was talking about you earlier. But that's what it is. So that's what it is. One of my pet peeves I have with my cousin that we're debating all the time is this game plan. This game plan. Because it irritates me about this game plan. because and it ties into what I'm saying about the guy who accept less. It's not good, but do not be a victim. Learn to negotiate, learn to ask, learn to step up your skill. And if you some reason you're having a tough time, find someone that can help you get better at it. If you don't want that, then you know what you're here in the situation you're in because you're deciding not to move on it, not to get any extra help, not to do whatever it is. It's most of the time it's on us who we made a decision to stay here and not move and complain. The analogy my old distributor gave me, and Guitar Gems, I'm gonna get that in a second. I can't. I'm gonna look over at the other side. The analogy my distributor gave me is my old mentor. He gave me this story about a dog, and I think I shared it one time on the channel. The guy was passing by a house, and he heard a dog mourning, and he looked up and he looked at the owner of the dog. And for those of you, don't get upset about me saying the owner of the dog and all this other stuff, free spirit stuff. It's just go with the analogy. And he says, "Why is your dog moaning?" He says, "He's lying on a nail." Okay. He said, "So why don't he just get up and move?" And the owner said, "It doesn't hurt bad enough for him to get up and move. He's moaning and groaning about the nail that he's lying on." He said, "But it doesn't hurt bad enough." And that's kind of what I think about a lot when my cousin was talking about the black people in America situation, and they always go back and throw it way back in the day, back in the slavery day, back in the Jim Crow era, back in the back, and I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, but that's not a good game plan to succeed. Okay? That's not a good game plan. It's not a good strategy to succeed. A strategy, I'm saying. If you had to give your people a strategy to succeed, would it be to stay where you're at, complain about everyone else, and the fault is everybody else's, and the fault is from the past, and this is what my ancestors were treated like? You don't dress like your ancestors, do you? You probably don't even eat like your ancestors, do you? You've never felt what they felt. You hardly listen to the elders of today. But you're going to use the ancestors to say, that's why I am in a situation today. It's like, okay, you said it one time. But what these guys want to do is keep talking about it as if talking about it is the action to do something and change. And I'm saying, that's not a good strategy, man. I'm not going to tell my kid to harp on days of slavery and all this other stuff. I'm going to tell my kid, you need to grind. You're in school. You better make sure you get as much A's as you possibly can and beware of these things that they're teaching you in school at the same time, because we're playing this game in this market. So he goes to school to get this stuff, to open the door, to do that. I said, listen, either you're going to do that and you can get in the door and you can negotiate now. It doesn't mean you're going to get a job. It just means you get in the door so you can negotiate. You're not going to finish, and you're going to have to negotiate in this area here, that you're going to have to work this area where you can't even compete with these guys because they're not letting you in without these particular credentials, right? Okay? Or you're going to start your own business. Either way, you got to grind, man. There's no way, but you can't be blaming this other thing. Okay? So I'm not having them blame slavery and all the other stuff for their future, because I'm not succeeding is because of that. Are you kidding me? How many people out there are succeeding who are the same as you? Why don't you find out what they're doing, bro? That's what pissed me off with celebrities when they go on and they're like, "Oh my God, you're being oppressed, you're being oppressed." I'm like, damn, dude, no one oppressed you, man. Why don't you tell the people how to do it then? No one oppressed you. You're successful. You're a billionaire. You're a millionaire. You're whatever. And you're telling people that, oh my God, it's just a systemic. The system didn't stop you. It looks like the system is working for you. So that's why I get, because that's all she talks about. It's just, oh, these people, these girls, man, listen, all right, I get it, but that's not a strategy, man. What do you do? How do you What do you do now? She get mad at me because it's like yeah, like if I'm heartless. I'm not heartless, man. I'm just saying, man, if we're gonna team, how are we gonna win, coach? And the coach keeps saying, yeah, remember the day when they beat us? And they used to, and I'm like, coach, are we supposed to practice today? Nah, let's talk about what they did. I'd get off that team, man. Listen, Ma, don't send me back to that team. Dad, I don't want to play on that team anymore. All right, guitar jams. Let me see what you got cooking, homie. Oh my gosh, man. Sorry for my craziness, guys. Guitar Jam says, I agree with you that a deal is a deal and should be respected. However, people use the fine print to obfuscate the real transaction by trickery and refusing. Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And I'll be honest with you. Again, that's where the law should be something at that. And at the same time, damn it, man. How much of, because I'm a victim of that. How much of that, on my first mortgage, I was a victim of that. And I had to say, I should have known better, right? But I can say no if I'm more educated on the topic. So do I decide to educate myself on a topic? Do I decide to read? You know how we just press agree sometimes on these phone updates and shit? And yes, they're hiding stuff inside the, right? And yes, they shouldn't be playing bullshit like that. At the same time, if you're my competitor or I'm doing business with you, against you, whatever, should I dot the I's and cross the T's? Is it a good idea for me to do that? Yeah, it is. Okay? It's a good idea. It's a good idea. How much of that I can blame on these people putting fine prints? Yeah, it's messed up. Then you have to make fine prints illegal. Then, you know, it's weird, man. But it's not that simple. It's not that cut and dry. It's not. You don't just tell people that they have absolutely no control over these things. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody read the fine print to find out the crap that was in there. Who read it? Why didn't the other guy read it like he did? You know? So I'm not blaming the victim for it. I'm just saying we do this blanket thing as if we are not ever supposed to read the fine print, let's say. And those guys are not, you're not supposed to have fine print. It's we can keep debating that one. But my stance is always going to be, damn it, man, what can I do? Let me not get hit like this again. Because I don't want to be a forever victim. I don't want my mind to absorb the idea that you have to change for me to be better. If you're not going to change, my mind has to be like, well, you know what? Let me find a way around. Let me pause a second. No, I'm not going to sign that yet. Give me, hey, I know. You're a salesman. You want me to sign, but let me read the cancellation notice real quick before I sign. Okay? Because if I sign without reading the cancellation notice, yes, he's a salesman, and yes, you should tell me the cancellation notice. Right? And you're not telling me, maybe I should stop and don't do business. Because if you're already starting out in the wrong foot, you know what I'm saying? Yes, we should know what the hospital bill is going to be instead of the bullshit fine prints and all the extra shit that we find out in the mail later. You know, they should fix that. You know what I'm saying? They should fix that. So anyway, but I'm with you though, man. I'm with you. I'm not. It's just that it's just tough for me to yeah. Yeah. Is that Jimi Hendrix? Yes, yes. Damn, dude, I got a Jimi Hendrix. I got a Jimi Hendrix. Do I still have it here? I had a Jimi Hendrix shirt that I made from a skateboard deck. I like Jimi Hendrix. Do I still have his shirt? I don't. Is this shirt still here? Hold on. Damn. I used to have it back here. Jimi Hendrix used to be right here. Anyway, let me move on. Let me not get distracted. All right, you're right. We gotta recognize Jim Crow, just gentrification, being able to buy homes only after 1968, but can't let it bring you down. I don't think it should be forgotten. No, it's not just that. It's not just that it's forgotten. It stops us from coming up with actual game plans. That's what it does. You don't forget it. Think about it. How many times we heard about this over your lifetime? Numerous times. Do you know how much time I heard of people saying this is what we need to do to help our kids learn more about the mortgage industry? What we need to teach our kids about the tax codes. What we need to teach our kids about politics. What we need to teach our kids. I hear this much about that, but I hear this much about Black Wall Street, the Jim Crow era, slavery, and I'm like, okay, guys, we know it. We know this. We know this, right? Okay, what's next? And nothing about what's next. Nothing. If white people say it to black people, they get mad. You can't talk about this. If black people say it to black people, you're trying to be white, you're trying to be this. It's like, okay, so who's gonna say it so people can move forward? Jesus? What are you gonna tell Jesus? Well, you don't know what it's like down here. You don't you don't know what it's like down here, Jesus. These rich people keep kissing ass to people more rich than them. Yeah, okay, they can help their local communities, but they're pretending to care about the folks. Yeah, it's a facade. You're right. It's a facade, right? I want you to think about it this one also. Think about the regular folks. Think about someone who is homeless, who's on the street, and he's begging for money, the people that's passing by. This is just an average working guy. Can he say that about the average working person? Do you know that there are people in another country that say that about Americans? Because by and large, Americans are more financially richer than a lot of the average people around the world. By and large, average Americans walking around is richer than the average people in the countries around the world. Okay, I'm not talking about the particular little section right here. I'm just talking about the average people around the world. Can they say that about the average Americans, that they just walk around kissing each other and they're just going to their movie, they're going to their football game, and they don't care about us? They can say that. But so we always do that at these levels. Okay? Recognizing that is a thing is important. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying it's not a thing. I'm not saying that these guys are not there and they're, that happens. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that our strategy should not be to focus on that stuff as if that changes, my life will change. No. This guy could be the nicest guy in the world and my life will still be the same. He can help 1 million communities. And the next year, people can be back again in the same situation without a strategy to succeed. Okay? That's what I'm saying. All right? Guitar Jams is you're a thinker, man. And I love that. 100% is still on you to you could say no. Yeah. And again, like I'm saying, it doesn't mean that these guys, it's not right for salespeople to lie to customers, bro. It is not right for a salesperson to tell a person, they did this a lot in Kirby a lot. They'll tell someone that you got a lifetime warranty. And I'm like, they know they're confusing the words, with a lifetime rebuilding plan and a lifetime fire plan, and then they're afraid to say it's a 3-year warranty. Why is a 3-year warranty something to be afraid of? It's not. A lot of vacuums come with 1-year warranty, 90-day warranty, 2-year warranty, some with 5, right? But they thought a better sales pitch is a lifetime warranty. So the customer thinks, oh, I got a lifetime warranty with this? Yeah. And they signed a contract. Some of these guys hardly mention a 3-day cancellation. They say it in a way that it sounds like, if we even have a close for it. I'm going to show you the close, one of the closes we had. Okay, I'm going to show you the close. It's a close like this. The only thing is my distributor was, he said, listen, you got to tell him it's a 3-year cancellation. Because you know why? Because if he doesn't, he knows he's been hit before with the backlash of people returning it and then taking it to the courts to say that they never told me it was a 3-day cancellation and you had to give the money back. Okay? So he says, you got to tell me it's a 3-day cancellation. So he was smart enough to teach us right. But then he gave us a close to try to convince them. Right? So this is how the close went. Right? All right, so Mrs. Johnson, like everything that you buy in this manner, there's a 3-day cancellation. You have 3 days to change your mind, just in case, right? But I'll be honest with you, Mrs. Johnson, I am really, really working hard to try to accomplish this thing I'm doing, whatever the goal is. And I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna tell my wife how excited we got the sale. I'm gonna go in the morning. I'm gonna tell these guys how I got the sale and everything. I'm gonna talk about the story you told me about the kids and all this other stuff. So if you're going to change your mind now, please tell me. Please don't throw it in my face. I can rip up the contract right now if you're going to cancel on it. That was a close. Now that's permitted. You're trying to convince someone. We're permitted to convince people, right? But to say, to try to say it like. Well, Mr. Johnson, here goes the paperwork, all right, and this is how much the payments are going to be, okay, and there's 3 days to kind of review everything you have here, and then here you go, just sign right here. You see, you didn't tell them you have 3 days to cancel. Now that's not right. That's not right. What is right though is that if she takes that to court or whatever, they will. They may, because unfortunately, where she's signing, it says 3-day cancellation and it has all the details. That's the weird part, right? And then over here, and then there's a copy, and then you get a copy, and at the bottom it says 3-day cancellation. So it's not right, man, because the customer trusts this guy, and she's gonna sign the paperwork, and she's gonna have the 3-day cancellation, and she didn't even read it, and she didn't see it because he led her away from seeing it. And unfortunately, that happens. That happens, But as long as the law is in place that will allow you to reverse that, that's it. Anyway, sorry about that. All right, guitar, let's see what you got. 100%. Yeah, the gray area is for sure, but wrong is wrong, you're right. And with that strength carrying forward, make decisions better. Yeah, yep, you're right. We can't stand by wait forever. Yeah, man. Yeah, we can't. We can't. That is not a game plan, bro. That's not that, and that's where I come from. It's not about these people not wrong, or the past don't matter, or none of that stuff. Because if you go in the past and if you really research it, right, a lot of black folks in America is going to be surprised at who was behind all this stuff, the people that they support the most. And for some people, they don't want to know, because how is it that all of this time I've been supporting these people, and these were the guys who had me like this? That's hard to swallow. Okay? That's a hard pill to swallow. Nobody want to be felt like they're a sucker. Okay? And I know what it felt like when I started doing some research. This is why my son went to school. when he started going to school. And I said, you know what, man, I better double down on my history, because I didn't want my son to learn something about history and for him to feel less than. And I don't want his history and all he has is slavery in his history. What do you think that does to the concept of a person carrying themselves? You know, you see what I'm saying? No, I said I didn't want that to be the only thing. Like the history of black people on this planet is slavery. So I was like, let me go in, because I don't want that for my son, right? And every time they make a movie, it's a slave movie, and every time it's the same shit. I'm like, man, nah, man, you're not gonna teach my son to be a victim. Man, get the hell out of here, bro. Get out of here with that. Nah, because I'm saying if every race had their downturn, right? If every race had their time when they were enslaved, every race had war, if every race had this, how did every race bounce back? You telling me that you can't bounce back? Okay, all right, bet. You guys keep that thought over there, and I'll have a different one for my kid. Okay, I'll have something else for my two sons, all right? You guys can keep that, all right? And I see what it's doing to the people. So I said, no, I don't want none of that. Thanks a lot. So now if I speak up on it, I was like, yeah, you guys can call me that. That's great. that's on you, bro. You want to be a victim? Keep it, man, because you're defending it really bad. Okay? I said, be very careful what you defend, because it's going to become yours, and you're going to wear it like that. So now you got this, man. Now you can call these people, and man, these people are bad. These people are great. How do we succeed? Man, if they can just acknowledge that man, look, man. I'll see you guys later. You guys are the best. Guitar jams. Dude, I got to get you something, man. I got to get you maybe something with Jimi Hendrix that I made. Let me know. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. All right? But let me know, Guitar Jams. If you like Jimi Hendrix, I'm going to see if I can either get you the shirt. I can't get you the skateboard anymore because I already, a music studio has it on their wall. But yeah. I'll do a piece of artwork for you, man. Okay? Big up? All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey. How you doing?